You stand at a crossroads every single day. On one side is the life you are living right now, with its limits, routines, and struggles. On the other side is the life you dream of, a life of abundance, freedom, and influence. The question is not whether wealth exists. The question is whether your mind is prepared to receive it. And here is the shocking truth that most people never realize until it is too late. Wealth does not begin in the bank. Wealth begins in the mind. Most people never see this. They spend their years chasing external signs of success while ignoring the root. They think if they could just earn a little more, save a little more, work a little harder, then the door to wealth would open. But they are wrong. Look around you. How many men and women labor every day, some even harder than the rich, yet remain stuck in the same place? How many remain buried in debt despite decades of work? The difference is not effort alone. The difference is mindset. This is the first mistake you must break. The poor believe money is the starting point. They think wealth creates a mindset. But the law of success is the reverse. Mindset creates wealth. Napoleon Hill revealed it clearly: every fortune begins as an idea. A thought planted in the soil of the mind becomes a desire, then a plan, then an empire. Without the right seed in thought, no amount of labor produces harvest. Think of the men history remembers. Carnegie began with nothing but a vision of steel. Rockefeller began with little but an idea of oil. Ford began with an obsession that every man could drive a car. Each of them was surrounded by men who worked just as long, just as hard, but who never left mediocrity behind. Why? Because those men allowed their thoughts to remain small, doubtful, and confined. They worked with their hands but neglected their minds. You must not repeat their error. If you believe wealth is something given to the lucky, you will drift. If you believe success is handed to the educated or the privileged, you will excuse yourself into poverty. If you believe your current circumstances define your future, you will trap yourself. These beliefs are the invisible chains that hold millions in the same circle year after year. They are never written, never spoken, yet they dictate the results of entire lives. The truth, the dangerous truth that most refuse to face, is this: your outer world is a mirror of your inner world. The life you live is the echo of the thoughts you repeat. If your thoughts are rooted in fear, lack, and doubt, no amount of labor will produce abundance. But if your thoughts are charged with vision, faith, and definiteness of purpose, doors will open that others cannot even see. So what is the law you must follow? Reverse the false belief. Stop thinking money builds the mind. Begin thinking the mind builds money. The law of wealth is thought first, fortune second. You must decide today to treat your thinking as your true capital. Every idea you choose to dwell on is a seed. Every belief you allow to root in your mind is a foundation stone. How do you act on this? Begin by watching your own thoughts as you would guard a treasure. Each time fear whispers you cannot, replace it with faith that you can. Each time doubt tells you it is impossible, replace it with the conviction that your vision already exists in the unseen. Each time your old poverty mindset tells you to wait, to play small, to settle, command yourself to think bigger, to move now, to decide now. This is not vague optimism. It is the discipline of thought. And it is the first step every wealthy man has taken. Say this with me now as your oath. My mind creates wealth. My thoughts shape my destiny. I choose to think rich. Speak it until you feel its weight. Speak it until your subconscious accepts it. For this is not just a sentence. This is a covenant. When you change your thinking, you change your world. You have already seen the first mistake, the belief that money builds the mind. Now let us uncover the second mistake that destroys more dreams than poverty itself. This is the belief that wealth is created by external chance instead of internal law. People call it luck, timing, or connections. They believe fortune smiles randomly. They tell themselves that the rich simply got lucky breaks while they themselves were left out. And so they wait. They wait for luck, they wait for timing, they wait for someone else to open the door. And in the waiting, their best years are lost. This is the poverty mindset in disguise. It whispers that life is out of your control. It convinces you that success depends on someone else's decision, someone else's opportunity, someone else's favor. And the moment you believe it, you surrender your power. You drift, hoping but never acting. You watch others rise and you call them fortunate while you waste the same decades that could have crowned you. Here is the brutal truth you must accept. Wealth is never the product of chance. Napoleon Hill revealed this law plainly. Infinite intelligence responds to definiteness of thought. Luck is not luck at all. It is the intersection of a mind prepared with a definite purpose and the opportunities that life always offers. To the man drifting, opportunities look invisible. To the man of purpose, those same opportunities shine like beacons. Think of Thomas Edison. Thousands mocked him, told him he was wasting his years. If wealth depended on chance, his failures would have destroyed him. But Edison understood that chance favors persistence guided by vision. He transmuted his failures into lessons and his lessons into inventions. And when the lamp finally lit, the world called him a genius. But it was not luck. It was law. You must grasp this law for yourself. Wealth is the product of controlled thought acted upon with persistence. It is not waiting. It is not drifting. It is not gambling. It is creation. Each time you hold a clear thought of your desire, impress it on your subconscious, and act toward it, you multiply your fortune. Each time you excuse yourself by blaming chance, you weaken your aura, and opportunities pass to someone else. So what is the counter to this mistake? It is the law of definite thought. Begin today by defining what wealth means to you. Is it freedom from debt, ownership of business, ability to give generously, command over your time? Write it down. Fix it in your mind. Refuse to let chance or circumstance dictate your definition. Wealth is personal. Wealth is chosen. Once defined, hold it with faith. See it in your imagination until it becomes as real as the chair you sit on. Then act daily toward it with persistence. This is how the wealthy rise. Not by waiting, not by wishing, not by gambling, but by aligning their thoughts with a definite aim and moving with unbreakable faith. Every act, every step, every decision is bent toward that aim. And the world, by law, yields. Say this now as your covenant. I do not wait for luck. I do not drift in chance. My wealth is my decision. My thoughts command my destiny. Repeat it until you feel the shift. Repeat it until the excuse of chance dissolves. For you are not a leaf carried by the wind. You are the wind. And your thoughts determine the direction of your life. There is another mistake so common that millions build their entire lives upon it without ever questioning. It is the belief that sheer effort alone creates wealth. You hear it every day: work harder, put in longer hours, grind more than anyone else. And yet, if this were true, the hardest laborers on earth would be the richest. But look closer. How many men sweat endlessly in jobs that never grow? How many give their prime decades to work that only pays for survival? Hard work without direction is not the path to wealth. It is the path to exhaustion. This poverty mindset convinces you that the only way to rise is to labor harder than the next man. It whispers that rest is weakness, that vision is a distraction, that planning is for dreamers. And so men bury themselves in endless tasks. They confuse activity with progress. They mistake fatigue for achievement. And by the time they realize the truth, their years are gone, their bodies are tired, and their minds are empty. Napoleon Hill exposed the error. He wrote clearly that riches do not come to the man who works the longest hours, but to the man who works with definiteness of purpose. Effort without thought is wasted. Thought without effort is fantasy. But thought united with persistent effort directed toward a definite aim is unstoppable. This is the law of success. Think of Abraham Lincoln. He lost elections, lost businesses, lost peace of mind. Yet each action, each campaign, each word he spoke was aligned with one aim: to preserve the Union and to rid it of slavery. His defeats did not scatter him into meaningless labor. They refined him. Every act was a seed bent toward destiny. That is why when the hour of crisis came, he carried authority. His aura radiated direction while other men radiated only exhaustion. You must see the contrast. The man who labors blindly may look busy, but he drifts. His aura is foggy. Men sense his lack of direction and withhold their trust. The man who labors with thought radiates clarity. His aura brightens. Opportunities gravitate toward him. Fortune bends to him. So what is the law you must obey? Replace blind effort with purposeful thought. Write your definite aim. Reduce every task to its relation with that aim. If it advances you, give it your energy. If it does not, cast it aside. Guard your prime decades against the narcotic of busyness. Measure by progress, not hours. The world will not reward you for how tired you are, but for how clear you are. Here is how you apply this law. Each morning, ask yourself, does this act bend me closer to my chief aim? If yes, persist. If no, eliminate. In 1 week, you will feel the difference. In 1 month, you will see the difference. In 1 year, your life will transform. For when thought commands effort, effort multiplies. Now say this affirmation with power. I measure by advancement, not exhaustion. I direct my effort with thought. I bend each act toward my definite aim. My labor builds wealth because my mind commands it. Speak it again until you believe it. For this is the dividing line between poverty and prosperity. Effort without thought drains. Effort guided by thought creates empires. Another mistake that silently ruins countless lives is the belief that your circumstances control your destiny. You hear it in every corner. People say, I cannot succeed because of where I was born. They blame the economy, the government, their parents, their education, their environment. They convince themselves that the chains around them are too heavy to break. This is the voice of the poverty mindset. It excuses inaction by worshiping obstacles. But listen carefully. History is filled with men and women who began with nothing, surrounded by limitation, yet rose to greatness. Andrew Carnegie was a poor immigrant working in a factory. Booker T. Washington was born in bondage. Napoleon Hill himself began in obscurity, with no wealth and no prestige. None of them allowed circumstance to define their future. They understood a dangerous truth that most ignore. Circumstance is not destiny. Circumstance is material. Mindset is the architect that shapes it. When you accept the lie that your environment controls your wealth, you shrink. You stop looking for opportunity because you believe it does not exist. You stop acting because you think action is useless. You join the multitudes who drift through life explaining their failures with excuses. They say, if I had more money, I would start. They say, if I had more connections, I would try. They say, if I had been born in another place, I would rise. But the law of life answers coldly. Excuses produce nothing. The wealth mindset reverses the law. It declares that thought is greater than circumstance. Your present situation may be hard, but it is clay in your hands. It will bend to your vision if you decide. Wealthy men do not wait for perfect conditions. They create conditions. They turn obstacles into raw material for greatness. Think of Henry Ford. Experts mocked him. Financiers refused him. He had no perfect factory, no established empire. Yet he decided to build a car for the multitude. He thought it, he believed it, and he acted. Circumstances yielded. What was once impossible became reality because one man refused to let his environment command his destiny. Here is the law you must write upon your soul. Circumstances are neutral. They obey thought. Poverty is not inherited, it is accepted. Wealth is not gifted, it is created. The difference is mindset. If you wait for the world to favor you, you will wait forever. If you choose to command your world, the world will obey. How do you practice this? Begin each day with the conviction that you are greater than your environment. Speak not of limitation. Speak of possibility. Train your mind to look at every obstacle as raw material. When debt presses, think of strategy. When rejection comes, think of persistence. When doors close, think of new doors to build. In this way, you transmute every circumstance into an opportunity. Now affirm this with power. I am not a victim of circumstance. I am the architect of destiny. My thoughts command my world. My environment bends to my vision. Say it until you feel the chains of excuse break. Say it until your aura radiates power. For the world follows the man who believes he commands it. There is yet another mistake that poisons the mind of the masses. It is the belief that fear and doubt are natural guards of wisdom. You hear it in the cautious voices around you. Be realistic. Do not risk too much. Better play safe. People confuse fear with intelligence. They mistake doubt for protection. But in truth, fear is the jailer of growth, and doubt is the thief of wealth. This mindset has trapped millions in small lives. They hesitate at every step. They imagine disaster behind every opportunity. They calculate endlessly but never act. And while they wait for perfect certainty, their years slip away. Look around. How many men planned businesses they never started? How many dreamed of ventures they never launched? Fear whispered, doubt agreed, and life passed them by. Napoleon Hill uncovered the truth with piercing clarity. Fear is not wisdom. Doubt is not prudence. He wrote that fear paralyzes the faculty of reason, that doubt starves desire. True intelligence is not avoiding risk but controlling it through definite thought and decisive action. Fortune does not smile on the fearful. Fortune bends to the man who acts despite fear, who advances with faith. Consider Alexander the Great. At 20, he inherited a fragile kingdom surrounded by enemies. Advisors told him to stay cautious, to secure borders, to wait. But Alexander believed that hesitation would destroy him faster than risk. He marched, he conquered, he moved with audacity. Within a decade he built an empire stretching farther than the world had imagined. It was not absence of fear but mastery over it that created greatness. Here lies the counter to this mistake. You must replace fear with faith. Not blind optimism, but faith grounded in vision. When doubt whispers, silence it with a definite plan. When fear rises, confront it with action. Fear shrinks when challenged. Doubt dissolves when tested. The man who acts learns. The man who hesitates remains ignorant forever. How do you live this law? Each time fear tells you to wait, ask yourself, will waiting make me stronger or weaker? Each time doubt says you cannot, remind yourself of a truth Napoleon Hill repeated: whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Write down your vision. Speak it daily. Act toward it boldly. The act itself builds confidence. The small wins multiply into faith. And the chain of fear weakens with every step forward. Say this oath aloud with force. I do not bow to fear. I do not listen to doubt. My faith is stronger than hesitation. My thoughts build confidence. My actions create wealth. Speak it again. Engrave it into your soul. For the wealthy are not those without fear, but those who refuse to let fear make decisions. You are one of them now. There is another mistake that keeps people chained to mediocrity. It is the belief that wealth is a lonely battle, that success is built in isolation, that one man must carry the whole burden alone. This belief destroys more destinies than failure itself. Men convince themselves that asking for help is weakness, that alliances slow them down, that others cannot be trusted. So they walk alone. And in walking alone, they collapse. This is a poverty mindset in disguise. It blinds you to one of the greatest truths Napoleon Hill revealed: no man ever accumulates great fortune without the aid of others. The mind, by itself, is powerful. But minds joined in harmony create power multiplied beyond calculation. Hill called it the mastermind. It is the invisible alliance of thought, the union of energy, the combined faith of men aligned toward a single purpose. Those who ignore it remain small. Those who embrace it command empires. Think of Andrew Carnegie. He did not build steel alone. He gathered men of greater technical skill, men with vision, men with courage. He formed alliances and directed their energy toward his purpose. He confessed openly that his fortune was the product of his mastermind group. Contrast this with the countless men who tried to rise alone and sank under the weight. The false belief in solitary success breeds arrogance, fear, and limitation. The law of wealth reverses it. True strength is not isolation. True strength is connection. Your thought is the spark, but combined with other sparks it becomes fire. Alone, you can build something. Together, you can build greatness. So what is the counter to this mistake? It is to deliberately create alliances that amplify your thought. Seek men and women who believe in vision, who radiate faith, who refuse to drift. Surround yourself with those who stretch you, not those who shrink you. Build your own mastermind. Share your aim, unify your efforts, and protect the harmony of that group at all costs. For the energy of combined thought is magnetic. It draws opportunity, resources, and wealth. Here is how you begin. Write down the qualities of the allies you need. Are they skilled in areas you are not? Do they share your faith and purpose? Can they strengthen your courage when fear rises? Then move deliberately to find them. Speak your vision. Invite them into alliance. Build trust by giving before you ask. Guard harmony as you would guard treasure. For one discordant mind can fracture the whole. Now affirm this with power. I do not walk alone. I attract powerful alliances. My thoughts unite with others to create unstoppable energy. Together we build wealth. Together we shape destiny. Speak this until you feel the weight lift from your shoulders. For you were not made to carry the burden of success in solitude. You were made to lead and to unite. Wealth is not the prize of isolation. Wealth is the creation of shared vision. One of the most destructive mistakes you can make is believing that failure is the end. This mindset ruins dreams before they are even born. People try once, they stumble, and then they declare, it was not meant to be. They let one rejection, one setback, one loss convince them that destiny is against them. They see failure as a wall instead of a teacher. And so they stop. They quit. They bury their vision and live the rest of their lives explaining why it could not work. This is the voice of poverty thinking. It whispers that failure proves weakness. It tells you that mistakes confirm you are unworthy. It convinces you that fortune only smiles on those who never fall. And the moment you believe it, you surrender. You stop learning. You stop fighting. You stop believing. But Napoleon Hill shattered this illusion. He wrote that every adversity carries within it the seed of equal or greater benefit. Failure is not an enemy. Failure is raw material. Failure is feedback. The wealth mindset sees each setback as a signal, a message, a stepping stone. The difference between those who remain poor and those who rise rich is simple. The poor man lets failure define him. The wealthy man lets failure refine him. Consider Thomas Edison again. He tested thousands of filaments before the light bulb worked. If failure were final, he would have quit after the first 100. Instead, he declared, I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that do not work. That thought turned defeat into progress. That mindset turned wasted effort into invention. And invention turned into empire. You must engrave this truth into your soul. Failure is never final unless you quit. Each time you stumble, extract the lesson. Ask, what did this reveal about my plan, my preparation, my persistence? Then adjust. Move again. Each cycle strengthens you. Each lesson increases your intelligence. Each scar makes you sharper. This is how wealth is built, not in smooth paths, but in rising again and again. How do you practice this law? Begin by changing the language you use. Do not say, I failed. Say, I learned. Do not say, it is over. Say, it is beginning again with greater wisdom. Keep a journal of your failures. Write the lesson you extracted from each. Read them often. They are proof of progress. They are evidence that you are closer to your aim. Now speak this oath with strength. Failure does not define me. Failure refines me. Each setback makes me stronger. Each lesson brings me closer to wealth. I rise, I learn, I persist. Say it until it burns in your heart. For the wealthy are not those who never fall. The wealthy are those who never stay down. Another fatal mistake that traps people in small lives is the belief that wealth is only about taking, about accumulation, about piling up possessions. This mindset imagines riches as hoarding more for oneself while giving nothing in return. It is the illusion that if you can grab, if you can hold, if you can protect, then you are wealthy. But look closer. Men who cling tightly to what they have often live in fear. They are poor in spirit though they may sit on gold. Their fortune fades because their mindset was wrong from the beginning. This poverty mindset reduces life to a selfish hunt. It whispers that others are competitors to defeat rather than partners to serve. It convinces you that value is limited, that every dollar someone else gains is a dollar you lose. And so people move with envy, suspicion, and greed. But this mindset cannot sustain wealth. It collapses upon itself. Napoleon Hill revealed a deeper law: true wealth is always the result of service. Money is not the cause but the effect. It flows as the reward for creating value, for solving problems, for meeting needs. The wealth mindset understands that you prosper by giving more in use value than you receive in cash value. This is why fortunes endure. They are built not on grabbing but on giving. Think of Henry Ford again. He did not simply chase profit. He envisioned serving the masses by putting cars within reach of the common man. That thought of service multiplied into factories, jobs, and wealth. The world rewarded him because he gave before he gained. Contrast this with those who exploit, who cheat, who hoard. They may rise quickly, but they fall just as quickly, because the law of life does not support greed. You must reverse the error. Stop seeing wealth as accumulation. See it as creation. Stop thinking only of what you can take. Think of what you can give. Ask daily, how can I create more value for others? How can I solve greater problems? How can I improve lives? For when you think this way, you align with the law of abundance. Money then flows as a servant to your vision. How do you apply this? Begin with your current work. No matter how small, ask yourself how to increase its value. Can you bring more skill, more attention, more creativity? Can you serve better, faster, stronger? Next, extend your vision. Think of the problems in your community, in your field, in your world. Imagine solutions. Write them. Act on them. Each step of service expands your influence, and influence attracts wealth. Now speak this affirmation with conviction. I create value. I serve with vision. Wealth flows to me because I give more than I take. My thoughts are tuned to abundance. Repeat it until it feels like truth. Repeat it until your heart believes. For the secret of fortune is this: those who give more always gain more. Wealth is not hoarded. Wealth is created, multiplied, and shared. One of the most seductive mistakes you can make is believing that wealth arrives in an instant, as a miracle, as a sudden strike of fortune. You see it in the way people chase lotteries, gamble in markets, jump from scheme to scheme. They hope for the one big win that will erase years of drift. But this illusion is poison. It keeps men chasing shadows instead of building substance. This poverty mindset whispers, if I could just get lucky once, everything would change. It convinces you to spend energy looking for shortcuts rather than planting seeds. It tempts you to quit building when results are slow, always promising that the next quick fix will be the breakthrough. And so people waste decades leaping from false hope to false hope, never holding long enough to reap. Napoleon Hill destroyed this illusion with timeless clarity. He wrote that riches are never the result of chance but of consistent, definite, persistent thought acted upon daily. Wealth is not an explosion. It is a construction. Each thought is a brick. Each decision is mortar. Each habit is a wall. Over time, the fortress of fortune rises. The quick path is a mirage. The true path is discipline. Think of the farmer. He does not plant today and harvest tomorrow. He plants, waters, waits, endures storms, and protects the soil. Wealth is the same. Your thoughts are seeds. Your actions are water. Your persistence is sunlight. With time, harvest becomes inevitable. But only the disciplined reap. The impatient remain barren. You must reverse the false belief in sudden wealth. Accept the law of gradual accumulation. See every day as an investment. Train your mind to celebrate small wins as proof of progress. Build habits that compound. Each act of discipline may look small, but together they create momentum that no force can stop. How do you apply this law? Begin with a clear plan. Break your vision into daily steps. Refuse to despise small beginnings. Measure consistency, not miracles. Each day you practice, you carve neural pathways in your mind. Each repetition deepens belief. Each habit compounds. Soon, what once looked impossible becomes natural. This is how the wealthy rise, not in flashes of luck, but in layers of persistence. Now affirm this truth with power. I do not chase quick riches. I build lasting wealth. My habits are my fortune. My thoughts and actions compound daily. My destiny grows stronger with time. Say it until the illusion of sudden wealth breaks. Say it until your soul delights in discipline. For true riches are not found overnight. They are created every day by the man who persists. Another mistake that quietly steals the destiny of countless men is the belief that wealth is only an outer achievement, measured by possessions, titles, and recognition. People chase symbols instead of substance. They convince themselves that if they can buy the car, wear the suit, display the watch, then they are successful. But behind the appearance, many remain insecure, fearful, and weak. They try to decorate the outside while neglecting the inside. This illusion destroys lasting fortune. The poverty mindset thrives on appearances. It whispers that your value comes from what others see. It tempts you to spend money you do not have to impress people who do not care. It lures you into the trap of chasing approval instead of building character. And when the storms of life come, the house built on image collapses. Napoleon Hill revealed a deeper truth. True wealth begins within. Before fortune appears in the outer world, it must be formed in the inner world of thought and belief. Your self-image sets the boundaries of your achievement. If you see yourself as small, your results remain small. If you see yourself as destined for greatness, you expand to meet it. The mind is the mold. Wealth is the casting. Think of a man like Benjamin Franklin. Born into poverty, with little formal education, he rose to wealth, influence, and power. How? He cultivated an inner image of discipline, curiosity, and growth. He saw himself not as a poor printer's boy but as a thinker, an inventor, a statesman. The outer world eventually mirrored the inner conviction. This is the law you must embrace. Stop decorating weakness. Start building strength. Stop chasing symbols. Start cultivating substance. When your inner world is rich in confidence, discipline, and vision, the outer wealth cannot be withheld. Fortune is drawn to the man who already believes himself worthy of it. How do you apply this? Begin with daily declarations of identity. Speak to yourself as the man you intend to become. Write it, repeat it, believe it. Create mental pictures of yourself achieving, leading, giving. Guard your self-talk as you would guard treasure. Do not allow insults, doubts, or failures to define your image. Define it yourself and repeat it until your subconscious accepts it. Now say this oath with power. I am wealthy within. I see myself as capable, worthy, and strong. My thoughts create confidence. My inner image shapes my destiny. Speak it until you feel your posture rise, your spirit expand, your vision sharpen. For wealth does not begin in possessions. It begins in perception. And the man who sees himself rich in mind will soon live rich in life. Another costly mistake is treating wealth as a single event instead of a process. Many people believe there will be one day, one deal, one moment that suddenly makes them rich. They dream of the lottery, the miracle investor, the sudden breakthrough that changes everything overnight. This illusion is deadly because it keeps them waiting instead of building. It makes them passive instead of purposeful. Napoleon Hill taught that wealth is not an accident but a law. Fortune does not fall on those who wait. It gathers around those who prepare daily. The poverty mindset clings to fantasy. It says, one day I will strike gold. One day opportunity will appear. One day my luck will change. But one day never arrives because no habits are being formed to attract it. The truth is this. Wealth is built in quiet repetitions. In daily persistence. In unseen discipline. It grows like a tree, not like a lightning strike. Every choice, every thought, every action is a seed. Each seed either multiplies abundance or multiplies limitation. The rich mindset understands this law. It plants carefully, waters faithfully, and trusts that compounding will crown it with harvest. Think of Thomas Edison. His fortune did not come from one invention alone. It came from years of testing, thousands of trials, an endless sequence of daily persistence. Each experiment looked small, but together they built empires. Or consider Rockefeller. His wealth was not luck. It was the accumulation of disciplined decisions repeated over decades. The world saw the fortune, but the fortune was the product of daily thinking, planning, and sowing. Here is the antidote to fantasy. Replace dreams of sudden wealth with the discipline of daily habits. Ask yourself not, when will wealth come, but, what seeds am I planting today? Instead of fantasizing about a single big break, focus on building small wins that compound into unstoppable force. Write down the habits of thought you will practice each morning. Write down the actions you will repeat regardless of feelings. Anchor your wealth not in chance, but in law. Now affirm this truth. I build wealth daily. Each choice plants abundance. Each thought multiplies fortune. My habits create my destiny. Speak it until you feel responsibility ignite inside you. Let the illusion of sudden success die. Let the reality of daily law rise. For wealth is not waiting. Wealth is compounding. And if you begin now, if you persist daily, your future will not depend on luck but on law. Another hidden mistake that traps men and women in poverty is the endless use of excuses. Excuses are the language of the poor mindset. They seem harmless, even reasonable, yet they quietly strangle progress. You say, I cannot invest because the economy is bad. I cannot start because the timing is wrong. I cannot change because my circumstances are too difficult. Each excuse becomes a chain, and soon the chains become your reality. Napoleon Hill warned against this very habit. He declared that the world does not care for your reasons. It only rewards your results. Excuses are comfort for the weak but poison for the strong. They let you justify inaction while convincing yourself that you are wise. But excuses never build wealth. They only preserve mediocrity. The poverty mindset thrives on external blame. It says, if only the market was better, if only my family supported me, if only I had more education. It always points outward. But the wealth mindset points inward. It says, if it is to be, it is up to me. It takes responsibility for thought, action, and result. This shift of ownership is the beginning of power. Look at Abraham Lincoln. He had every reason to make excuses. Born poor, faced with defeat after defeat, burdened by sorrow, mocked by critics. Yet he refused the poison. Instead of saying why he could not, he asked how he could. His refusal to excuse himself turned obstacles into stepping stones. Or consider Henry Ford. The world laughed at his idea of building cars for the masses. Financiers mocked him. Experts doubted him. He could have excused himself with the words, "The world is against me." Instead, he persisted. His wealth was not built on perfect conditions. It was built on refusing excuses. The antidote is simple but hard. You must strip excuses from your vocabulary. Each time your mind whispers one, expose it. Call it what it is, fear hiding as reason. Replace it with responsibility. Instead of saying I cannot, ask what can I do with what I have now. Instead of saying the timing is bad, declare that today is the only time you own. Instead of saying my background holds me back, proclaim that my choices define me. Now repeat this oath with fire. I do not excuse. I take responsibility. My results are my proof. My actions are my law. Speak it until you feel the weight of excuses dissolve. Say it until your mind shifts from blame to power. Because the world does not pay for excuses. It pays for solutions. And the man who refuses excuses commands his destiny. Another mistake that silently destroys fortune is seeing money as the final goal instead of a tool. The poverty mindset worships money as the destination. It says, if only I had enough money, everything would be solved. But this belief blinds you. When money is the end, you chase it desperately, compromise values, and often lose it just as quickly as it comes. Napoleon Hill made it clear, money is never the true objective. Money is a servant, a symbol, a reward. The true goal is growth, service, and definite purpose. Fortune flows to those who use money with vision, not those who worship it blindly. If you treat money as your master, it enslaves you. If you treat it as your servant, it multiplies under your command. The poverty mindset asks, how can I get more money? The wealth mindset asks, how can I create more value? This difference changes everything. The man who chases money often compromises integrity. He cuts corners, deceives, or sacrifices his health for gain. In the end, his aura weakens, trust vanishes, and money flees. But the man who creates value attracts money naturally, for the world rewards service that multiplies life. Consider Andrew Carnegie. His vision was not simply to hoard wealth but to build empires of steel that advanced industry. Money followed his service. Or look at Thomas Edison. His inventions were not driven by the thought of quick profit but by solving problems. The wealth that followed was a byproduct of value. This is the law you must master. The antidote to money worship is purpose. Ask yourself, why do I seek wealth? For what higher aim will it serve? Is it freedom, contribution, creation, or legacy? Anchor your pursuit of money to something larger than money itself. Then money becomes a river flowing through you toward that purpose, not a stagnant pond that eventually rots. Now affirm this truth with force. Money is my servant, not my master. I use wealth to fulfill purpose. I create value and fortune flows to me. Say it until you feel the grip of desperation break. Declare it until your mind shifts from chasing to commanding. For the man who seeks money alone remains poor in spirit. But the man who seeks purpose commands wealth in both life and legacy. Another mistake that robs men of fortune is mistaking fear for wisdom. The poverty mindset calls hesitation prudence. It whispers, wait a little longer, gather more proof, secure more safety. This disguise of fear appears respectable, but it quietly buries your best opportunities. Napoleon Hill warned that the fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, and the fear of failure are the greatest enemies of success. They speak softly, but their effect is brutal. They paralyze decision. They make a man sharpen his sword but never enter battle. Years vanish while his chances rot. By the time he finally moves, the decisive moment is gone. The wealth mindset does not confuse caution with cowardice. It knows that perfect safety never exists. Every opportunity carries risk. Every bold decision carries uncertainty. But the man who decides, even in uncertainty, builds power. Decision radiates authority. Action attracts allies. Fortune bends to those who move. Think of Henry Ford. When he declared he would build cars for the masses, financiers laughed, experts mocked, critics sneered. If he had waited for approval, if he had hidden behind the mask of prudence, his vision would have died in the shadows. Instead, he decided. He acted. And his persistence forced the world to believe. Here is the antidote. Tear off the mask. Call fear by its true name. Stop flattering it as caution. Recognize when your hesitation is not strategy but timidity. Replace it with decisive faith. Say to yourself, I will act when the purpose is clear, not when the path is free of risk. For the greatest risk is not action, but inaction. Now speak this oath with power. I do not confuse fear with wisdom. My decisions are law. My action commands fortune. Repeat it until you feel your spirit rise above hesitation. Say it until your aura radiates authority. For the world does not honor the cautious. It crowns the decisive. You have walked through the hidden traps that keep most people poor. You have seen the illusions, the whispers, the subtle chains that bind men in their 30s, 40s, and beyond. Now you must face the truth. Wealth is not denied to you by the world. It is denied by your own mind if you allow it. The mistakes are clear. Fear disguised as wisdom steals decisive years. Chasing wages instead of purpose keeps you small. Endless busyness without aim drains your life while leaving you no closer to fortune. Passion wasted on indulgence burns you down instead of building you up. Isolation weakens your fire when alliance could multiply it. Surrender at the first defeat builds the habit of quitting. Neglecting your inner temple leaves you hollow no matter how much you gain. Each of these mistakes has an antidote. Decision breaks fear. Service beyond wages attracts fortune. Definiteness destroys drift. Transmuted passion becomes power. Harmony multiplies strength. Persistence conquers surrender. Inner covenant ignites radiance. These are not theories. They are laws. They do not bend for excuses. They obey only conviction. Napoleon Hill did not ask you to admire these truths. He demanded you apply them. For the decades of your life are short. Time is the most costly resource you own. Every year surrendered to fear, excuses, or drift compounds into chains that grow heavier. But every year seized by decision, service, and definite purpose multiplies into wealth of character, influence, and fortune. So here is your choice. You can drift like the majority, excusing yourself while your best years vanish, or you can seize these laws with both hands and engrave them into your soul. You can remain small, or you can claim the crown of destiny. The difference lies not in chance, but in thought. Now seal this journey with a covenant. Repeat with conviction. I do not confuse fear with wisdom. I serve purpose, not wages. I measure by progress, not busyness. I turn fire into force. I unite with allies in harmony. I persist until victory. I covenant daily with infinite intelligence. Say these words as law, not as suggestion. Speak them until they shape your nature. Speak them until hesitation dissolves, excuses vanish, and your aura commands trust. For wealth is not a gift. It is not luck. It is the inevitable reward of a mind trained to create it. This is the reckoning. You cannot drift and hope to arrive. You cannot excuse and hope to advance. Later does not exist. Only now exists. If you begin now, if you seize now, if you persist now, you will not face chains but crowns, not regret but radiance, not emptiness but legacy. Choose today. Choose with conviction. Choose with faith. Your destiny awaits, and it will mirror the thoughts you dare to hold and the actions you dare to take.